Imagine a place where time crawls, every sound echoes with dread, and the very walls seem to press in on you, suffocating hope. Now, picture being trapped there, day after day, with no escape in sight. Around the world, there are prisons so notorious, so brutal, that even the toughest criminals fear their names. But what really happens behind those locked gates, and why do these institutions earn their terrifying reputations? Throughout history, prisons have been seen as places of punishment, rehabilitation, or even exile. Yet some facilities go far beyond mere confinement, crossing into realms of horror that most people can scarcely imagine. Places where overcrowding leads to chaos, where violence is routine, and where basic human rights are a distant memory. The names of these prisons, Black Dolphin, La Sabaneta, ADX Florence, evoke images of darkness, desperation, and survival against the odds. But what secrets do they hold within their walls? And what makes them the worst of the worst? Step inside the world's most infamous prisons, and you'll find stories that defy belief. In Russia's Black Dolphin prison, inmates are blindfolded and marched, bent at the waist, unable to see their surroundings or even plot an escape. Guards here are trained to break the spirit as much as the body, and the cells themselves are designed to isolate, monitor, and control every movement. Meals are meager, visits are rare, and hope is in short supply. Travel to South America, and you'll encounter Venezuela's La Sabaneta, a prison once described as a hell on earth. Here, overcrowding reached levels so extreme that inmates slept in hallways or hung hammocks from the ceilings. Gangs controlled much of daily life, enforcing their own brutal rules while the guards watched from a distance, powerless or unwilling to intervene. Disease, malnutrition, and violence claimed lives regularly, and the desperate reality of survival overshadowed any notion of justice. In the United States, the Alcatraz of the Rockies, ADX Florence, stands as a monument to modern security and isolation. Designed for the most dangerous offenders, this supermax prison keeps inmates in solitary confinement for up to 23 hours a day. Human contact is almost non-existent. Even exercise is conducted in a concrete pit, surrounded by high walls and watched by armed guards. The psychological toll is immense, pushing even the most resilient minds to the brink. But what do the experts say about these places? Criminologists point out that extreme conditions, like those found in these prisons, can have devastating effects on inmates' mental health. Dr. Lisa Harrison, a psychologist specializing in correctional environments, notes that prolonged isolation and deprivation of sensory input can cause anxiety, depression, and in some cases, psychosis. It's not just the physical hardship, it's the erosion of the human spirit. Former prison officials have described how order in these facilities is often maintained through fear rather than respect, with little chance for rehabilitation or redemption. Human rights organizations have repeatedly sounded the alarm, citing these prisons as examples of systems gone too far, where punishment overshadows any hope of reform. Yet, there's more beneath the surface. What drives countries to create such places? Some say it's a response to crime waves or terrorist threats, a necessary evil to protect society. Others argue it's a failure of imagination, a system stuck in a cycle of retribution rather than transformation. Whatever the reason, the consequences ripple far beyond the prison walls, affecting families, communities, and the fabric of society itself. Curious to know which prison is considered the absolute worst, or what daily life is truly like for those locked inside? The answers may surprise you. In many of these institutions, the line between guard and prisoner blurs. Corruption seeps into every aspect of life, with bribes and favors becoming currency. Smuggled cell phones connect inmates to the outside world, while homemade weapons settle disputes that the authorities ignore. Survival often depends less on physical strength and more on cunning, alliances, and sheer luck. In some cases, the architecture itself is a form of cruelty. Cells are windowless, temperatures swing from sweltering heat to freezing cold, and infestations of rats, insects, and disease are common. Medical care is minimal, and even a minor injury can become a death sentence. Family visits, when allowed, are brief and heavily monitored, reminding inmates of what they've lost and how far they are from freedom. Despite these grim realities, stories of resilience and ingenuity emerge. Some inmates find ways to survive through art, writing, or forming communities of support. Others become advocates, documenting abuses and calling for change. Occasionally, pressure from the outside world, through investigative journalism, documentaries, or human rights campaigns, forces reforms or even the closure of the most notorious facilities. Still, for many, the nightmare continues, hidden from public view. As society debates the purpose and future of incarceration, the existence of these extreme prisons raises uncomfortable questions. Do such places make us safer, or do they perpetuate cycles of violence and despair? Is there a line between justice and cruelty, and have some systems crossed it in their quest for control? The world's worst prisons serve as stark reminders of what can happen when punishment overshadows humanity. They challenge us to look beyond the headlines, to question not just how we treat those who break the law, but what kind of society we become in the process. One thing is certain: behind the high walls and locked doors of these institutions, stories unfold every day. Stories of suffering, survival, and the enduring struggle for dignity in the face of overwhelming odds. If you think you know what prison is like, think again. The realities inside the world's worst prisons are more shocking, more complex, and more important to understand than you might ever imagine. The next time you hear their names whispered, remember that behind each one lies a world few would willingly enter, and even fewer would ever escape unchanged.